Hey everyone, welcome to another review video. Today we have the Olympus XA versus the Olympus MJU, also known as the Olympus Infinity Stylus. The MJU name was used in Japan and other countries, I think, and Infinity Stylus was in the US. But anyways, you're probably wondering why I'm not putting the Olympus MJU Mark II. I actually feel the Mark I is a better camera, even though the Mark II has a faster lens. The Mark I actually has a sharper lens, and really having a slightly faster lens doesn't actually make it into a better camera, even though much people would disagree with me. So that's why I have that one. So we got the XA on the left and the MG on the right. They're pretty similar in size. The Olympus XA came out in the 80s. It's an aperture priority camera. It has from f2.8 all the way down to f22. It has a clamshell design. It opens up and you'll see the 35mm 2.8. It's a f Suico lens. The Olympus, which the Suico lenses are pretty legendary and they're still making them today in the mirrorless camera. But anyways, it's a pretty compact camera, as you can see. It was a big hit with traveling photographers and with street photographers, as was the MJU, and it still is in regard. First, we're going to talk about the XA. It's an aperture priority mode camera. You select the aperture right here. Then it has a flash mode also, which there's a flash that you can hook up right here. I don't have it, but you could buy it separately. To open up the camera, slide it this way, and you have viewfinder. The viewfinder is okay. The only negative thing I can say is the rangefinder patch is kind of dim. There's a modification you could do. I'll put a link down below. Haven't done it, but I heard it's and it's a rangefinder, which means you focus with the little rangefinder tab right here. You could also use stone focus. It has a mark right there, 3 meters, and you put it at f5.6, and in that way you don't have to focus it. You just have it in zone, so you always have it ready, and you can just snap to take a picture. Snap, you just release, and the trigger. A lot of people say it has a hairline trigger. I don't think it's that sensitive as a lot of people say, but a lot of people say it's really sensitive, but I don't think it is. You have your finger and it won't go off until you push it down. But anyways, you can see the focusing marks right there, and you focus. So you could shoot from the hip, and you could just look down, or just put it at 3 meters and have it at 5.6 and fire away. You change the ISO. There's a little setting right here, and it goes from ISO 25 to 800. Well, not ISO, but ASA. But I'm used to saying ISO since I was born in the digital era. You have your film counter right here. You got the wine button. The only thing, it kind of feels like a disposable. I don't really like the wine button on this. It's kind of a weirdly made camera, because this is all plastic, but the back is made out of metal. So I'm not sure what they were trying to do with that. They should just made it out of plastic or out of metal. But it feels nice. It's pretty compact. It feels great in the hands. The rangefinder patch is kind of dim. I can't really show you, but just take my word for it. But yeah, it's a pretty compact camera. It fits in your pocket. Takes the 35mm film, which is full frame, so it's nice. And on the bottom, it has what do you call them? To check to see if your camera works, you put it on the check mark. If you want to put it on the timer, it has that. Also, it has exposure comp, 1.5 stops if you're doing like a backlit situation. It has a tripod hole. You put the battery. It's a L44, which you can find anywhere for dirt cheap. And there we go. So now we're gonna talk about the Olympus MJU Infinity Stylus. It also has got some dog here and there. I got a bunch of dogs. Sorry about that one. It's got a 35mm lens. It's a f3.5. It's also a rangefinder, but it is fully autofocus. You don't have to choose nothing. It's actually really accurate focus. I've never had it miss focus, which is kind of amazing considering it's came out in '91, I believe. And even my DSLR, my mirrorless cameras miss focus from time to time. But yeah, it has a built-in flash, so you don't have to buy an auxiliary one. The top, it's pretty easy. You have your share button right here, you have your time button, and you got your flash. The one thing I do have to complain about this is the flash is always on, so turn it off. Every time you turn on and off the camera, if you want to turn off the flash, you have to do it every time, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, it's got the auto. I'm not sure what the auto S stands for. Has the off, and it has the flash filling. Now the meeting for flash is actually really good. Like if you're in a bright situation, it will not go off, so you don't really have to worry about turning it off or on that much, except if you're like in an almost dim situation where you don't want flash to scare a person. But the camera turns on really fast, like that. Then it uses CR123 batteries, which they're kind of expensive. You buy them, they start at like $15, but you buy them on eBay, you can score them for like $1 or $2 each. I'll have a link down below. And the battery lasts a long time. I've had some for like over a year, and it's still on the same battery. Probably shot 100 rows through it. It has a nice viewfinder in it. It's almost the same as the Olympus. I think I'm not the Olympus XA, but I think it's a little bit brighter on the XA, but on the MJU is actually a bit brighter. Now, these are both some favorite cameras for street photographers because they're small and they're quick. Well, this one, if you focus like this, is not that quick, but if you have it in zone focus, it's just as quick. One gripe I do have about the XA, when you open the camera, you need two hands. Say you have it in your pocket, you take it out of your pocket, and then you have to open up the clamshell design, and then you can press your shutter. Now with the MJU, you have it in your pocket, you can stick your hand. By the time you take the camera out, you can actually have the camera on and ready to go. And the cool thing about the MJU is all you need is your right hand to open it and click the shutter. On the XA, you kind of need two hands because you need it to open it with this one, and then you take the picture with this one. So in that regard, I prefer the MJU. But I guess you could do the XA with one hand also. You just open it like that and push it. But when you have it in your pocket, bring it out, it's kind of hard. One thing I like about both cameras, they're very discreet. Like most people, if you have them on the table, they won't know what it is. Or a lot of people mistake the MJU for a computer mouse. Actually, the prices on the MJU usually sells for like $15 to $35. The MJU Mark II usually sells for like $50 to $100, which I don't really like that camera, to be honest. I've had some, but I prefer the lens on this one. They're pretty much the same camera, except the Mark II has a little bit faster lens. It's a 2.8 versus 3.5, but it's kind of useless since you don't have aperture priority mode. You don't have full manual, so you really can't control the aperture, so it's kind of worthless to have a slightly faster lens and pay double or even triple more. So this is the one I prefer. I got this one at a Swami for $5. There's a guy he was actually selling a tripod, but he had this one attached to it. I had never heard about it. It was like when I was barely getting into film, and I opened it up and I saw that I had the 35mm fixed lens, and I wanted a camera like that. So this is the one I picked up, and it's been my favorite camera ever since. I love this camera. Prefer it over my DSLR and my mirrorless camera actually. And then I picked up the XA a couple months ago. I actually bought two because I wanted the lens for my mirrorless camera, which I have done. I don't have a mirrorless on here right now, but here I took the lens out of the XA and I put it on my mirrorless right now for my Canon EOS M. So yeah, that's why. And this one I shot a couple of rows through it. Actually, I just sold this one. I had to ship it out today. The XAs, they usually sell between $50 and $100. It depends. If you have like a really mint one, you probably expect to pay like $100. If it has the flash, expect to pay like around $125. So yeah, if I had to say which camera I prefer, I would actually go with the MJU, even though it does not have the rangefinder feature. It has an autofocus one. So that's the cool thing about this one. You can have it at f2.8. You focus it out close to, focuses down to 0.85 meters. So you can have like the bokeh kind of stuff. With this one, you kind of can. It always steps it down to like at least f4, f8 usually out there. So you can't really have that bokeh kind of stuff. But for these kind of camera, I just want to point and shoot. Just want it in my pocket when I'm walking down the street. I see something cool, take it out, have it on, take the picture, put it back in my pocket like so fast you can't even notice I take a picture of you. On the XA, it is kind of more clumsy because you have to open it like this, and sometimes it will get stuck, like when you're trying to open it. If I had that happen to me before. And also, I never liked the ring wire. It feels like a disposable camera, and I feel like it's gonna break at any moment. But I haven't had an issue with the MJU. I did have an issue with my XA ones. The windy lap actually got stuck, and I kind of ruined like half a row because I just to get you unstuck, I had to take out the row and just like force it to get unstuck. So yeah, and then this other time it would just not. I was pressing down the trigger, and it would not fire the cam for some reason. Even in bright daylight. But like I waited like a day or two and it fixed itself. So yeah, so I've had two issues with the XA. With the MJU, I have not. But yeah, if I had to choose which camera I prefer the best, I would go with the MJU. It's cheaper. You can get them really cheap on eBay sometimes for like, I think like the most you probably pay is 15. Although there's some that range for like up to 35. I've seen them. There's one that was wrapped in leather. I can't remember what it was called, but it's actually pretty pricier. It's like they go for like $50. So you can actually get this camera wrapped in leather. Forgot what it's called, but I'll have a link down below. Post it. But I prefer this one. It's really cool. Or if the MJU, if you can find the MJU 2 for cheap, then buy that one. The XA, you can rarely find them cheap because everybody knows them and everybody buys them. So expect to pay like at least $50 unless you find them at a thrift store. But I've never seen one at a thrift store because if there is, they're always gone. I live in a city where there's still a bunch of film photographers and we always compete against each other at thrift stores. But if I had to choose which camera I prefer, I'd go with the MJU. It's just really, it feels so comfortable in the hand compared to the box CSA. It's really quick to focus. I've never had to miss focus before. It's my favorite camera. I prefer over my DSLR and my mirrorless. But anyway, you can't go wrong with either one. You can own both actually, and you can use them for different purposes or for the same purposes. Because I use the XA for street also. I mostly just put it like at f8, and I put it, I forgot what, I had it at 3 meters because I usually shoot like ISO 400 film. So I just had it at f8 and 3 meters, and I used it as a zone. I didn't actually use the rangefinder, which was kind of a shame. Because I mean, it has a rangefinder feature and I didn't really use it. Or her manual rangefinder, I should say. One gripe about the XA is that the apertures, they're diamond. The aperture blades are diamond bladed. They're not circular. So expect like your bokeh balls, if you step it down, they're gonna be that diamond shape, which some people do like and some people don't like. As you can see, I'm not sure if you can really see. This one has you got a flash to it. This one has some built in, so that's cool. I mean, it's not in the not really in a convenient spot, but pretty much any compact camera, they don't have a flash like that's anywhere useful. Even on DSLRs, the built-in flash, they're kind of useless because they give off harsh flat lighting. I don't really like that. A lot of people do like those snapshots with like the Terry Bridgerton style, because he sees compacts. I think he sees the Yashica T4 or T3. I'm not even sure they have a T3, but he sees I think it's Yashica's probably contacts. I don't know. Not really up to